This time on Movie Reviews, we're going to be looking at the brand new animated film, Abominable. Abominable comes to us from DreamWorks Animation and follows the story of a young girl who is becoming very distant from her family after the death of her father. And one fateful night, she finds a Yeti that has escaped from captivity, and her and a group of friends join together to send the Yeti back to its homeland. Guys, this was a film that I wasn't really anticipating, but I thought the trailers looked like it was going to be a fun movie. And honestly, after watching it, I can say that this is pretty much a really fun movie, but has many problems in the fact that it is just very cliche. Now let's talk about some of my positives with the film, and the first positive with this film has to be the animation. DreamWorks is always good when it comes to their animation. They always make beautifully colorful films, and this is exactly what you're going to get. This is a beautiful looking film with some great set pieces and just great animation. The colors in this film just absolutely pop right off the screen, and there's some very visually interesting parts as well, and a lot of that is tied into the Yeti's powers. Yes, this Yeti has superpowers, and we don't really understand or really know the extent of what his powers can do, but basically they can make stuff grow, make things that were falling apart just come back together, and also change the geography of the world. Basically, making the Yeti the most powerful being on the entire Earth. And this makes for some really clever and beautifully animated scenes of flowers growing, or there's this moment that you see in the trailer where they are basically surfing on the ground, because the ground just kind of goes up and it goes in waves, and it's absolutely beautiful to watch. And this film is visually beautiful and looks fantastic on the big screen with just great colors, just a great setting, and a great world to be in. This is really cool stuff. And on top of that, there's also things that you wouldn't just think about, really. There's some great animation even early on in the film when it comes to just the skyscrapers of the city landscape. And the nightlife is absolutely on point. Just, it's colorful, it's bright, and it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. There's this great scene earlier on in the film where our main character finally leaves to go on her journey, and she looks back at her home, the city, and it's absolutely just a beautiful looking image of this city, and it's animated and it's beautiful. Also, something I love in this film is the Yeti itself, Everest, who is just really sweet. They did a lot with this creature to really make you feel and understand him through the animation. He's got these big, giant eyes that really lend themselves to big emotions, which is what this character is all about. And it's just a really beautiful looking design and really cute as well. I also like the relationship between the young girl and Everest and how it grows throughout the film. Even though it's not particularly deep, it's still very well done, and it does help her in her journey along the way of trying to forget the past and learn family and all that stuff. And that stuff is very cliche, but that's for my negatives. Also, stuff that I really liked in this film was also, it was really funny. Like, I got a couple laughs from this film, a couple of chuckles, and quite a few laughs, and this film just had me laughing. It was really clever with some of its comedy, especially when it came to the villains of the movie, which were really funny. They always had this funny banter and always had something really funny to say. And there's this great running gag of them trying to catch this snake that they just can't find, and like it'll pop out every now and then. And it was just really fun. It's a little juvenile, I guess, but hey, like, I was entertained, so I mean, can't be all bad, right? I also love the music in this film, and something that the film does very well is with the music and its musical scenes. Now, I'm not talking about like anybody breaks out into song, but there are moments throughout the film where our main character is playing her father's violin, and it's absolutely gorgeous music that she plays, and also these scenes really lend themselves to the animation, and just beautiful stuff happens when this music is played. And some of the most breathtaking moments of the film are when she's playing her violin, and it all is just very well done. There's this scene later on in the film where she visits a place that her father wanted her to visit when she was older, and she never got to, but now she does. And it's just a beautiful scene that's very powerful and very emotional, and definitely the emotional apex of the film overall. Now we get into some of my negatives with the film, and my biggest negative is that this film is just very cliche. This is something that you've seen 100 times before. You've seen this movie before. It's called E.T. Now, you can do this movie and do it right and still make it good, but you have to do something new, and this film doesn't really do anything new aside for making the alien a Yeti, and that's really about it. The characters range from alright to passable. The best character in the film is by far our lead, who gets the most depth in the film, and really the only depth. The characters that run along with her in the film, one of them doesn't even have a character arc, and the other really doesn't change that much from the beginning of the film to the end of the film. And also there's moments that are set up earlier in the film with our lead character being kind of a loner and not having friends, and these girls that are like, oh, she smells bad, all this stuff, and that doesn't really lead to anything really, which I was wondering when that was going to play back in, maybe near the end of the film, and it never happened. Also, all the amazing, beautiful visual stuff, aside for some of the skyscraper stuff earlier in the film, is really left to the second half of the film, and really makes the film just feel like a chore to get through for just a little bit. Because most of the movie is a road trip movie, and it just feels like we're going from place to place. We see characters banter with each other, but nothing really substantial or just memorable really happens during these moments until we get to the stuff with, like, the hills basically coming alive and them surfing down them, which is honestly really great. Also, the villains in this film are painfully just average and cliche. They're just kind of villains. I really just didn't understand their motivation other than, we want this Yeti. Because we want the Yeti. They're just really bad guys for the sake of bad guys, and there's just nothing interesting about them. They're very bland and very forgettable, aside for the couple of times where they got a chuckle out of me. And also, by the time it got to the emotional climax of the film, and it just felt so empty. I didn't feel really anything. I didn't feel an attachment to really any of these characters, aside for our main character and the Yeti, and even that, I just didn't really feel a connection with them as I wanted to. But, I mean, it's still a fine movie, guys. It's still a lot of fun. There's some creative moments in the film. It's beautifully animated, but it's just suffering from just being kind of average. I'm going to give Abominable a 6 out of 10. Guys, I hate that I didn't like this film as much as I wanted to, but this is a film that has a lot going for it. It has some fun moments, but is, again, painfully just cliche and average, but it does have its moments here and there. Now, I do think that kids will like this film, and I think most adults could sit down and watch this film and enjoy it, but I don't think people are really going to remember this film very well. I think it's just going to be something that's going to be forgotten as time goes by, and really, it's just holding kids over until Frozen 2 comes out. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching this review, and I've got a new review coming for you soon for Rogue One, a Star Wars story that will be coming out at the end of this week. And also, I will be reviewing and starting reviewing my Halloween reviews for the month of October. I've got a lot of good movies planned for you guys, so look forward to that. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next review.